But transport's a well-managed operation, happens internationally, been happening for over 40 years. And the transport of high-level waste is not a new concept.
We don't have any real national shipping left. It's all been flagged out and replaced by flags of convenience. And in return, you don't have to pay taxes. There is a much lower regulatory regime, and it's inherently less safe.
Water is everywhere below the surface, and including soils, and so it fills the pore spaces and fractures within soil and rock.
You start off with your hard ceramic stable fuel pellets in a tube, and the tubes in fuel assemblies, and the fuel assemblies packaged in a copper canister and put underground, surrounded by clay.
In South Australia, we have relatively stable geology. We have the right type of host rocks and a climate which is pretty dry and stable.
Long-term safety is really demonstrated by means of the safety case. And the safety case is a collection of all the technical and scientific evidence that demonstrates that a site is indeed safe and provides for long-term safety.
South Australia has earthquakes. Most of these earthquakes happen in mountain ranges. And basically those mountain ranges are bounded by faults. So that's really important, because if we're going to try to assess the seismic hazard for South Australia, then we need to know how long the faults are.
This slide is demonstrating that the fundamental basis for safety is predicated on a number of barriers. These barriers act in unison, but they do also act independently. And if one of them was to fail, then the safety function will be taken up by the others. So you're looking at the overall safety of the whole system, not necessarily of one individual barrier.
Enough research is that showing that the geology will not change over that long period of time.
When we're talking about the more stable areas of the state, there's pretty good evidence that very little has changed there for tens to hundreds of millions of years.
There is definitely an earthquake risk, as I talked about. In terms of changing geology, the bedrock, that type of stuff is not going to change on a period of 100,000 years, or even on a period of a few million years. There are surface effects that may change in terms of erosion, and somebody over there referred to erosion earlier, but that's stuff that we could model, and again would go into the site selection.